Welcome to the Allegrativity Powercast with Allegra Sinclair. Get ready to punch fear in the throat, show up, and tell your story. Allegra Sinclair is here to help you become the powerful woman you are meant to be. It's finally time to get unstuck and reveal how fabulous you are. And it's time for your host, Allegra Sinclair.
Hey, this is Allegra. Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. We're changing things up a little bit this week in that this episode was actually recorded using Blab. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that video social media site, but I hope you'll get familiar with it because I'm going to be hanging out over there a lot in the future. In fact, I have a special podcast listener event coming up in early January that I'll tell you about. However, this episode is a level up session that I did with the awesome coach Jennie, the Audacity Coach. I hope you will enjoy this blab and look forward to sharing different types of content with you in the very near future. Here, in all its glorious deliciousness, is my level up session with Coach Jennie.
Hello, everybody. Coach Jennie, the Audacity Coach, back for another interview of the Level Up with Coach Jennie series. Again, the reason I'm doing this, if you don't know, is I help clients level up in their business in some capacity. And every time I'm having a conversation about leveling up and what that looks like to you, it feels like you're the first person to ever go through this. And I know that's not true because I'm surrounded by people who are constantly leveling up in their businesses. And so I wanted to very selfishly pick the brains of the coolest people I know. And Allegra Sinclair is definitely among these humans. I'm so excited that you're a part of this. So what we're going to do is have a on the record conversation where we're going to pick Allegra's brain. You're going to get to know her a little bit. And I would love for you to add your questions in the chat. Stacy is also monitoring the chat for me. Thank you, Stacy Spenceley. And we're going to dive in. But before we do, I don't think everybody knows you yet, Allegra. So I want to make sure you tell everybody who you are, where you are, and what you're all about.
Well, I was born a poor black child in...
I adore you. I walked right into that one.
You so did. But there's also a bunch of people who are like, wait, what? Because they don't get the reference because I'm old now, but I'm comfortable with my age. So yes, my name is Allegra Sinclair and I am a transformation coach. So I spent many, many years in corporate working on corporate communications because I think there was always going to be that coach trainer in me, though I fought it very hard. Come from a family of teachers. And I was like, is there anything less sexy than teaching? I don't know what it could be. So I fought that for a while. And then one day I decided that I needed to reserve that energy for other fights. So I just let go and stepped on into helping other people see the fabulous within themselves. So I do that from sunny Durham, North Carolina on a one-on-one and group basis. And my first heart and how I met the sassy Coach Jennie is my podcast where I am like this all the time.
Allegrativity. That's right. It's so good. You guys have to go back and check out that replay. I will have to dig up that link.
I have the URL, but I don't know where to put it or how.
Oh, you put it in the chat. So over on the left-hand side where it says send a message, drop it there. Okay. Yeah. I'm super excited about that. And Stacy says she's a teacher's kid. I'm a teacher's wife, which is a whole nother level of this. Yes, so I get it. Yes. I totally get it. Well, so my very first question to you is, how do you personally know when it's time for you to level up in your business, when it's time for you to make some sort of leap or some sort of change, some sort of shift that is saying, nope, I'm ready for the bigger leagues?
So this is going to sound counterintuitive. So what else is new? But I know it's time when everything is easy and I could be doing it on autopilot. So I know that lots of people fear all sorts of different things in their business. What I fear most is boredom. Because when I'm bored, I'm not challenging myself. And if I'm not challenged in other areas, then what I'm giving my clients isn't what they deserve, right? So in order for me to stay sharp, I have to always be thinking and working on me so that then that translates into giving more. So I know it's time to level up when I'm bored or when I'm in pain. And boredom pains me, but I can have one without the other. So some very specific examples for me. If I'm looking at the month ahead, though I do plan further out. But if I'm looking at the month ahead and I'm thinking, oh, yep, got all that, that's an issue. Because I should be more engaged with my own stuff, right? So if I'm feeling like I'm on autopilot, that's a clue for me that it's time to do something to level up.
Yeah, I agree. I talk about in my coaching practice that audacious people are extremely uncomfortable being comfortable. Like as soon as we're cozy, we're like, I'm crawling out of my skin. What am I supposed to do with this? I'm way too cozy. And I love how you bring up that you're afraid, your fear is being bored. That's really strong language. Who here in the cheap seats over there agrees that, being bored is terrifying, especially being bored in your business? Give me a yes, a me. Paralyzing all of us.
Oh, I love that. Mm-hmm. Is her name Alma? That's my mom's name.
Oh, yeah. There you go. You guys have a lot in common. Yes. She mentioned earlier she loves that your name means happy in Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
Carol, yes. Stacy, the worst. Totally. It's painful to be in that place. However, it's so easy to get stuck there. So what the hell do you do about it? You realize, okay, I'm looking at the month ahead. I can do this with my eyes closed. This is less than fabulous. What's the next thought process? How do you decide to do whatever you need to do?
So I think there are a couple things. And I said I'm afraid of being bored because the overarching fear is not being what I know I can be. And that sounds weird. And I sound like, I'm trying to think of someone like, I sound like so Michelle Obama-ish, like, right? Like she did that speech recently. And I guess one of the young ladies in the audience said to her something along the lines of, well, what if you do if that guy doesn't like you? And Michelle Obama like lost her mind a little bit in the most fabulous way. It was like, do you know how many more things you should be thinking about right now? Other than that child over there who says he doesn't like you, right? So she said she feels like this overwhelming pressure to be all of this other stuff, right? Because she's the first lady. Well, I'm not the first lady, but I do feel like my time is finite. And there's something special and specific that I'm supposed to bring. And I feel a sense of urgency, kind of a gentle pressure, not like a stress, so I'm freaking out about it. But I feel an urgent call to be more of who I'm supposed to be versus who the world expects. So if I'm sitting there in that moment and I think, okay, what I'm about to put out is boring and not allegrified. Yes, I make up words because I can. If I look at something and I think it's not allegrified, I'm not afraid to throw it out and start over, right? So I talk about fear a lot, punching fear in the throat, doing something daily that gives you pause, because I think exercising your courage muscle is empowering to me. So I don't have a problem talking about fear. Because, I said it a moment ago, as long as it doesn't paralyze me, that's fine, right? Because for me, it's like fuel for the fire.
Okay, can we talk about that though? Sure. Because fear is a fine line. There's a fear between this is absolutely fuel to get me moving, right? This has motivated me and inspired me into some hardcore, massive action. And this fear is just a little too big. This has got me. I would like to eat some Haagen-Dazs and watch reruns of the Golden Girls or something. I have no idea why I went there.
My comfort TV is Will and Grace, but I know what you mean.
Will and Grace is beautiful. So we're going to watch a bunch of Will and Grace because I feel like Grace right now. I'm totally frozen. I don't know what to do. How on earth do you help yourself as well as your clients bridge over to the other side of that fear?
So in that particular instance, when it's me, it's a little bit different, right? So that's an excellent point. Like, how would I help someone else? Because I do have a pretty high tolerance for fear, right? So I'm an IBM child. We moved every 18 to 24 months. So for me, being in new places as an introvert isn't scary anymore because I did it for so long, right? So my fear muscle's pretty in tune. My other muscles, not so much, but my fear muscle is in excellent shape. But if I was talking to a client about some place where they were feeling like Grace and maybe feeling a little stuck, what I have found in all of my years on the planet is fear is a signal of something else. So if you're paralyzed in fear, I really do want to poke that bear. Why? Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Okay. And if that happens, then what? Okay. And then if that happens, then what? Right. So I really do like peel the onion on the fear, because once you actually expose fear to light, it's powerless, right? That's when it turns into fuel, because whatever you're worried about or thinking about or obsessing over, it may never happen. if it does happen, if you have planned for it, it's not such a big deal. Or 3, you know you can handle it because you've handled other stuff that was similar, right?
Right. You've got all that evidence that
Exactly.
you can hack this.
Exactly. So fear loves to live in the shadows, right? Where it's like whispers and doubt and, no actual data, no real proof that you should legitimately be worried about it. It just kind of sits off it, like the sisters in the park. It like sits over there like whispering behind a fan, right? But if you actually engage it in conversation, then it has to be silent. And I'm all about making it shut up.
I like that. I'm all about making it shut up. Well, yeah. and you know what?
So it can't talk. My cousin taught me that. If you punch them anywhere else, they could keep talking. But if you punch them in the throat, they have to stop.
Allegra, I love that your coaching style is as violent as mine is. That's a beautiful thing.
So funny, because that's like the only violent thing. Well, it's not the only violent thing. I actually said to one of my clients the other day something about punching someone in the throat, and I didn't even realize I said it. And then he's like, okay, note to self, never make Allegra mad. And I was like, wait, what did I say?
And Stacey in the chat is saying, next Blab, throat punching Hilda. Because, Hilda's the name I give to the voice in the back of your head.
Yes.
Yes.
Punch her in the throat so she'll stop talking. That's all I'm saying.
Well, one of the things that you said in there in your description of fear is this idea of when it shows up. But here's the deal. It doesn't show up if this doesn't matter to you. So for me, fear is like this signal that your body throws down that whatever you're afraid of is something that matters. Right? This matters. You don't get scared when it doesn't freaking matter. It's like, oh, should I go here for dinner? Unless it's Chipotle. Everybody's a little scared of that right now. But
why?
There's some sort of health scare happening at Chipotle.
See, I don't eat out, so I didn't even know about that.
There you go. But beyond those kinds of health scares, right? You're not really afraid of decisions or opportunities that if you don't feel fear, maybe it doesn't really matter. To your point earlier, I'm looking at all these opportunities and all these things that got lined up for next month. Nothing is scaring the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm. Or as I say, nothing's lighting my panties on fire. So why am I going to do that, right? So it's interesting because I said on Facebook earlier today, I challenge everyone to do something every day that gives them pause. And my thing today is I'm going to go do Blab. And a bunch of people who know me sent me notes and they're like, you're afraid of doing Blab? And I was like, okay, pump the brakes. I'm not afraid of a technology. But my point was, it is something new and different. Mm-hmm. But the point of that was because I cared, because I wanted to show up wholly and I wanted to be what I'm supposed to be. And I wanted to show up strong for you because you kick booty, right? So it wasn't that I was afraid of Blab. I just took very seriously the opportunity to share with you, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, that's that thing again about fear being fuel. So I'm not afraid of fear. That's the thing. And if you approach it in a violent way, it's capable of being punched, right? You're way less afraid of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I used to be afraid of bugs. And then I worked at a place. Now I was a communicator, but I worked in a place that made products that killed bugs. So part of my training was I had to go to Florida in the summer and put on the Tyvek suit and everything and learn how to kill bugs. What kind of bug is it that you think scares me right now? I haven't seen that bug yet. Because I'm like, please don't make me go get my Tyvek suit. Right? So I think you're right. It's a signal that you care about something, and that's information because maybe you need to know that.
Well, and Chris is in the chat saying, girl, you had me at Florida in the summer. Chris and I grew up in Gainesville, Florida, home of the bug. I mean, in the swamp.
And the lizard.
And the alligators. Our bugs are real. Our bugs are small birds. Yeah, they're small birds. The roaches fly. Oh
my gosh, I was about to say that. The first time I went to Jamaica, and this thing was by, and I was like, okay, I would have thought that was a roach, but it was 10 times bigger and flying. My dad was like, what have I raised these children who don't even know how to go to the island? I was like, yeah.
You have no idea.
We didn't have that in Princeton, New Jersey.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Florida, the scariest part was the armadillo. That is the freakiest animal anyway. But anyway, I digress.
Both of us. I only said that to say people have this huge thing of fear. Oh, I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of this. And I'm like, okay, fear is okay. It's we don't want to talk about it. Back in the early days of TV, remember Rhoda? Yes, I used to watch TV Land a lot. And her mother would say horrible things, but she'd whisper them. Oh, she's ill. Cancer. I'm like, knows. Why are we whispering about that? Right. So I think people kind of give fear that kind of, elevation in their mind. Like they just don't even want to speak the word. And I'm like, oh, you can speak the word because you're ready for it. So
is there power as an entrepreneur in leveling up? You talk about making sure you do something that's got you a little shaken, right? That's got you a little uncomfortable every day. How on earth do you select what that is?
So here's the magic for me recently. And I can't remember when we last spoke, but a lot of things have changed specifically around business. So one of the things that I will say is I believe in everyone. There are fantastic ideas that sound good and work for you. So that could be a business. It could be an aspect of your business. It could be a product. It could be any number of things. And our work to hush the other voices so we can hear that and bring that to life. So we can birth that. Never been pregnant. I hear it hurts. So I'm just saying, right? So whatever that thing is, that's our work to bring that out. Now, as an entrepreneur, that brings a whole other level because in corporate, in my experience, and it didn't matter whether I had a boss who was the president of an organization or I had a boss who was an associate manager. It doesn't matter. In a corporation, you're told what to do. So the rewards, if it comes off well, you may not participate in. Not the punishment, but the downside, if it doesn't go as well as expected, again, you may not materially participate in that. But when you're talking about building your own thing, it's a whole new level, new devil, right? Because the decisions you're making, who you're hiring, what work you're doing, when you're going to do it. If you're in a regular 9-to-5 gig and you're going to leave that, when, how, who do you tell? I mean, there's a whole other level of ownership of that comes with, each new decision comes with something different. So I think, though, I will say this, what I have found is, as an entrepreneur, because now I don't work the place you thought I worked full time. Yeah, I left there. I left the plantation. But here's what I'll say about having been emancipated in August of this year. It was such a leveling up moment. I didn't have that vocabulary at that time, but I think the key for me was just getting good and done with being where I was. Now, when we talked and you were feeling, Audacity Camp was May, right? And you're talking about camp, which was coming up, and kind of the structure for it. And you didn't have a prescription for what was going to happen there. You were showing up being you, putting together this framework, and you were like, hey, let's see what happens, right? So,
exactly. That's the whole idea. It's an unconference. So whatever happens is what's supposed to happen based on whoever shows up.
But think about the genesis of that. You're confident enough in your spot that you know if you create the environment and put the right people in that environment, then magic's going to happen. And that is my focus as an entrepreneur, making the magic happen. Or if I'm not making them, enable magic to happen at a very basic level, not preventing it from happening. Because preventing, managing, deciding what magic looks like, all those things diminish what can show up. So what I'm doing now, like transformation coach, and I have 2 clients who aren't coaching clients who I'm working with, where I'm applying the skills that I have developed over my whole life. I was born a poor black child, but so using those skills, I would never even have dared to write that down on a piece of paper a year ago because it was such a big leveling up, right? And I didn't know when I finally said, okay, I have to do some things different here to grow my business. And I just got tired of having that conversation with myself, right? I just got good and done, right? As they say in the South, good and done. I had no idea how high the level up would be, right? So then there came that moment where, and I admit I have a higher tolerance for risk, when I was just like, well, it can't be worse than this, right? So, that's kind of what I said to others. But in my head, I knew I had such belief that it was going to be better. I just didn't know how much better, right? So my task was to put the framework together and to get out of the way and then work hard so that things could level up and I could be participating in that.
Yeah, I love how you talk about participation, right? That you participate in fear, you participate in leveling up, you participate in all of these things. And that word is really powerful to me because participation is something you choose to do. It's an optional thing. You know, I had a conversation recently about somebody who's pissed that she has to buy Christmas presents. I'm like, you're choosing to participate in gifts.
Exactly.
Let's be very real. That is an optional experience. Even if your belief system is very Christian, I'm pretty sure the gift giving part, Jesus doesn't care.
This is what I'm saying.
Right? Like I'm just,
Right.
and I'm not Christian, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the gift giving part's optional.
It is.
But it doesn't feel optional.
Because the gifts can't be purchased at Walmart. I'm just saying.
It's a whole,
it's a whole other movie. Yes.
But in business, there's the same thing, right? There are some things that are not optional. And how do you manage that? So one of I'm just going to say, one of the whininesses that I hear in my coaching practice from time to time is I hate marketing. I love what I do. I'm so great at it, but I hate marketing. And so I choose not to participate in it. This is not exactly something that works very well if you have an entrepreneurial spirit. So can we talk a little bit about that, Allegra? Because if you're not a marketer, you probably hate it. I hate it. But how are ways to get over the fact that you hate it? And sometimes you got to do some of the things that are not so fun to participate in.
So at the risk of sounding a little New Jersey, okay, you hate morning. So what? I mean, how is that even relevant? So, and I'm being all, blithe right here, but I'm serious and I'm not serious. So let's just look at that for a moment. Why do you hate marketing? Probably because you have been marketed to poorly, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that old adage from like Advertising 101. People hate to be sold, but they love to buy, right? But I think people have different ideas about what marketing means. So I don't hate marketing. There are aspects of marketing where I am not as strong as others. And there are some channels of marketing that I love, like audio. I'll podcast all day long. If you wanted me to talk about hockey, which I know nothing about, if you throw a microphone in front of me, I'm going to do what I can for the next 30 minutes or so, right? But like video, not as much. Now, it doesn't mean I hate video. I just always thought that was for other people to do. But
now that you're on your first Blab, we're changing all that for you.
Forget that. Starting about 6 months ago, I started working with a client who lives, breathes, dies by video. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. He puts everything on video. And then all of a sudden, I was in some videos and I was like, what? Okay, right? So I did a couple videos with him. And then I did more videos with him. And then I did more. And I was like, shut up. This guy, he is so sneaky. He has me doing video. I said I wasn't going to do video, right? Because I got to the point where, and I'm just going to call it like entrepreneurial maturity. Because he said to me one day, how come you're now doing videos? Because I suggested one to him the other day and I thought he was going to faint. And he said, why are you now comfortable with video when before you weren't interested? And I said, because it became apparent to me that people wanted it. So if what I have to offer, if my story is good, and it is, and I want people to hear it, I have to offer it in more than one method, right? Yeah. So if I blog about it, and I love writing, so if I write about it on my blog, that's great. And a lot of people might read it. But if 10 times more people would watch the video, how much of a business person am I really trying to be? How serious am I about being the person how serious am I about punching fear in the face and showing up if I won't do something that I know is important, right? So it's kind of like, I have a dear friend, and she might even be on here. I can't see her, but if she's on here, grab your big girl panties because I'm about to talk about you. She has a great business idea, and it's in the Christian space, but she doesn't want to charge any money. And I get that. Total servant heart. However, commerce is required. In order for her to reach more people, do more stuff, somebody has to pay some bills. So she will probably say that she hates marketing. I don't think she hates marketing. She just feels like marketing lessens what it is that she's trying to do. But it is not noble to keep your stuff hidden under a bushel. It is not noble not to be able to pay your hosting bill. It is not noble to know something that you know will change that person across the street's life, but not tell them. That is not noble. It is not good. It's not delicious. It's not chocolate. It is none of those things. If you have something good to share it, and share it so that the people who are looking for it can find it. Because part of the problem with marketing is there's so much crap being marketed extremely well. So your good product that you're not marketing isn't being seen by people who are looking for it. But instead, they're seeing the fabulous marketing of that other person who doesn't have all that juicy stuff that you were going to bring, but they marketed it. So then the person got that. If that doesn't give you pause and make you think about marketing differently, I'm just going to give you a moment to think about it, right?
No, I love that. And I love, you bring up so many points, right? There's nothing noble about that. And be clear that, are you serious about this? Are you serious about your business? Are you willing to do that? Right? Stacy says, I have to repeat to myself all the time. Marketing isn't pushing things on people. It's putting things people want in front of people so they can get it.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. And Chris says you're preaching to the choir right now. I love that. I think it's exactly true that we are afraid of it. And I get it. Here's what I don't like about marketing is I still have to do it, and it takes up time that I wish I could just be serving. So I understand your client that you were talking about, how she just wants to spend all of her time in the service part. I do too. Totally do. I want to get to a point where I have people that do all the marketing.
Exactly.
I'm going to have people. I'm going to be that girl. Because that would be so lovely, because it would allow me to show up, speak, create, and connect and spend time coaching.
Right.
If I could do that, that would be awesome. But as you start a business, specifically for the purposes of this series, a solo business or a small business with just a couple of people, you are the one woman or one man shop. You're the whole thing. And it is up to you to decide if you're serious about it. And I'm going to throw it down, Allegra. I know your podcast is amazing. Amazing. Those conversations are great. And then I can't wait to watch some of the videos that you've been creating. But when you start showing up over here on Blab, it's going to be addicting because you're going to have conversations with people live. In addition to that,
this is going to be an issue.
I apologize in advance for sucking you into this web.
It's not, I already own a plugin that puts your blabs on your website, and I haven't
you're ready.
installed it. I'm like, okay, what? I knew it was coming. Sometimes you just have to be ready for the lesson.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and I love that when you signed up for this, you're like, I'm in, but I'm in in December. Coming,
that was the first date.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
That was the first day that was available by the time you saw it?
Oh, yeah.
That's fun. That's fun.
I don't check my email several times a day like other people. I really believe that whole technology enables you to live your life on your own terms. I believe that. I signed up. I paid my $1, so I didn't check quickly enough. And, it's a hot ticket. So, yes, this was the first date, and I was glad to get it.
I'm so glad you're here. Well, Stacy says we're going to start a support group for blabaholics who blame Jennie. I love that. I'm there. Because yes, it's addictive. I love it. So I have another question for you, Allegra. Sure. You've shared a ton of tips already, but I want to make sure we get to your juiciest tip or two about what you would tell an entrepreneur who's ready to level up, sitting in that fear, but feels fueled. What are your tips for making that big leap?
Okay, so I'm an entrepreneur and ready to take it to the next level. I'm ready to do some stuff that will make people say, shut up. That's what you're saying? But yes. I'm a little bit fearful. So my first question would be, and this is a question that you should ask. You certainly don't need to say this out loud to us. What's the worst thing that can happen if you level up? Right? Because I'm always fascinated. If what's on the other side is good and delectable, then what keeps me from going to get it? Now, since I said delectable, it could be, I think, I have a lot of food allergies. I might be allergic, or it has too many calories, whatever foolishness, right? But if I look at what I think is on the other side that's not so great, then I can address that. Because fear, I said it lives in the shadows, but it also lives in the fuzzy, nebulous unknown, right? So, I don't even have to know whether something is a problem for that to stop me. So I want you to give pause the real things that deserve pause, not the things that maybe don't. But the other thing is, what's one piece of it that you can do? Because the other thing that I see a lot is I want to write a book. So if I haven't written a book by such and such a date, it's over. I'm like, well, wow, that's a rather ninja approach. I salute your commitment to the time frame. But how about you have a chapter by how about an outline? How about we start there? And I think women and strong entrepreneurial women, I don't know if there are guys here too. Sorry, I'm not excluding those without ovaries. But what I'm saying is we go big or stay home. The problem with that is that so many of us are staying home because we feel like we couldn't go big. And I'm not suggesting that you go small. No. What I'm saying is if you need to, you go big in baby steps, but you keep going and you keep stepping, right? So I break the big thing that I want to level up into bite-sized chunks. I would figure out what fear am I really dealing with? Because the fear that you'll say first when you ask yourself, because I talk to myself in the morning. Now, I used to be in Mary Kay and I'd walk in the mirror every morning and be like, hello, gorgeous. It's not that kind of conversation. These conversations are, in what way are you going to kick butt today? In what way are you going to matter? And sometimes if I'm talking to myself about something and I tell myself what an objection is or what an obstacle is, that was a lie, right? That was the lowest hanging fruit thing that I thought I could say so I could move on to the next thought. But I don't let myself do that, right? I ask the next question because it's usually never the first objection. It's like the third or maybe the fourth one that's really giving me pause and I want to get to that. It's kind of like, so funny. I'm not hungry, but everything is food related. You know, I saw this cookie. No, what is this thing? One of my friends sent it to me on Vox or the other. It's like a cake. It has like pies in it. Have you seen this ridiculous thing?
I have. It's like the turducken, but for
I think it's called a
dessert.
Girl, I don't know. I told you I don't eat out, but it's a cake, but it's like pies. And it fascinated me because you slice it and you think there could be anything in there, right? So the easy answer is usually what happens with the first slice, but you have to actually open the cake up to find the 3 different pies to find out what the issue really is. But I would say the third thing, and your people know this, sometimes you need an outside ear. A lot of times you need. So I will absolutely say that I got it. And I talk to a lot of coaches, right? But I got out of my own way when I started working with someone consistently who'd call me on my crap. And call me on my crap because it's so funny because your bio's always like, yeah, I'm not your typical, I'm not gentle and like in your face. And I think you're like one of the most loving people. So you. There's a little iron in there, but it's like wrapped in like velvet. And it comes from a place where you're not just wrecking shop to wreck shop, right?
Right. No.
But a coach for me can't be the type who'll show up and go, oh, woo, you did the best you could. Because maybe I did it, right? And if I didn't, if you're going to tell me I did when I didn't, sweetheart, you're not helping me. I'm not mad at you. You don't have to go home, but you have to go away from here because that's not going to help me be who I need to be. So if you have worked yourself on the breaking it into bite-sized chunks, or you've worked yourself on, you think you've gotten all the obstacles clear and there's still something else there, you might need an objective. Now, a coach who's trained to do that is a great option. But if you're not ready to go to a coach, you don't know a coach, whatever that might be, then talk to someone who you pick on purpose. So don't like stumble into Starbucks and start spilling to the person who just happens to be at the next table.
Right. But also don't reach out to your yes person. Everybody knows their yes person. I have to
or
share
your no person,
story.
right? Because suppose you're afraid and you know the person who convinced you not to do it.
Exactly. I was looking through my friends. I was looking through my really close, tight-knit friends because before I reach out to an editor with a full manuscript of my book, I want to find somebody and ask if they'll take the time to look through my book and be just really real with me. And I'm looking through my friends. My friends love me. I have wonderful, amazing people in my life. But I'm looking through it and I'm like, all of these people care a little too much about my feelings for me to ask them to do this. You know what I mean? Like they just love it a little bit too much. So I was like, who is not afraid to hurt my feelings? And it was obvious to me. My wife. Christopher's saying, I'll read it too, right? My wife has no issue saying, yeah. And you know, Christopher, I love you and I want you to read it. Absolutely. Christopher's one of my best friends in the world. But Christopher, you would be like, okay, Jenny, so let's, talk about this section here. Meredith would be like, this is stupid. And I don't understand what you're talking about. The hell is this? Right? She will, like 2 seconds. Yeah. And so for me, it's also about knowing, when I need it, and when it's time for Christopher to read it, I know where that's going to be in the series too, but knowing what you need at different points, because sometimes you need people at different points, which are going to give you a different piece.
Season.
So the coach's work, the coach is important. Stacey said she had that coach that you were talking about, the little, that's nice, dear coach. And she said she fired her, and then she hired me.
Well, there's always something to be said for encouraging people, because I think I'm a professional encourager. But I think part of encouragement is you don't believe me when I tell you something good about you if I lied to you when there was something that gave me pause. So if you ran across the street in your slippers in the middle of the night and I was like, oh my gosh, that was so smart. Get that exercise in, girl. Bring that Fitbit up to 10. Right? Next time I tell you, you can do this. What do you mean you can't ask your boss for a raise? Go in there. You don't even have to wear a powerful bra. You step in that room, you show your value, and you get your money. You're not going to believe me. Because I told you that foolishness when you ran barefoot across the street was good, right? So it's about integrity as well. And I'm not saying the person who encourages your every step doesn't have a place, but for entrepreneurs, hey, it's real out there.
Right. I mean, one of the things that I said to a client this week, actually, she was like, I'm really upset that I didn't follow through because I feel like I've let you down, Coach Jennie. And I said really clearly, you haven't let me down. I mean, you paid me. You let you down. That's much worse. You know what I mean? I'm good. And sometimes it's that kind of wake up call that that's what you're doing, right? That's what you're doing. So we have an offbeat question that I just have to ask you, from the Peanut Gallery. Stacey wants to know when you're coming to California. So she can stalk you and have you make lunch with her.
Wow, when am I coming to California? I don't know. When I get enough invitations, I reckon. Oh, yes, you're in California now. Are you in San Fran? Where are you?
I am in Los Angeles. Stacey's in San Diego. So we have to do the next Audacity camp here in California, and maybe that's what will draw you out. I have a dear friend who lives in California. I'm trying to think. I think she tells me to fly into the San Francisco airport, and we've been lying. I say lying because we haven't gotten her done, and we're get it done kind of chicks. We've been lying for about a year, saying we were going to meet in the same place and haven't done it. So I used to travel 80% of the time for work. So I'm not afraid of the airport. I'll travel, but you don't even have to stalk me. I would love to have lunch. We just have to eat somewhere where I can eat. I'm Whole30. Stacey says I can come too. So that's nice. And we could totally Whole30. Stacey used to be a health coach. She can have you.
Oh my gosh.
She's ready for you.
You don't have to stalk me, girl. You should be worried about me stalking you. That's a whole other blab.
I love it. Well, let's wrap this one up and open up the seats and go, off record. That's when, the hair comes down. It gets really ugly. No, I'm kidding. But before we do, I want to know, Allegra, about your next big thing, and specifically, how can my community, the Audacity Lab, support you?
Well, first of all, can I just say how much I love that question? Because so many people don't think about that. So I am super excited because I'm getting ready to launch a workshop on December 28th. So it's so funny to me because I'm doing a webinar. I don't do webinars. Well, guess what? I do webinars now. So it's all about, say it all together, class, punching fear in the throat. So I have a quick guide that will come out to kind of prime people for the workshop. So if anybody wants to run and grab that, they can go to coachallegra.com/ready-punch-fear, as in ready to punch fear in the throat. But it's ready I could put it in here. I can't forget.
I got you. Ready dash.
Actually,
what is it?
I told you the wrong URL. So let me just copy and paste.
One moment, please. Still checking.
Yes, I think I lied. Okay, so there's that URL.
There it
and
is.
You're going to get, so The Wiz was on TV last week, right? And I don't watch a lot of TV, but I am inspired by things pretty regular. And I was like, oh, remember The Wizard of Oz? Ooh, I have some great lead-ins for the workshop about what you can learn from The Wizard of Oz, about fear and courage. I was like, shut up. So you're going to get that today. And then you'll get you'll get a notification when the webinar launches on December 28th. So I'm very excited about that. So tell your friends and come and play with me on the webinar.
I love that. And please share that in the Audacity Lab as well over and ask for help and ask everybody to help spread the word. We have Ask for Help happening today.
Oh, cool.
I so appreciate you. Now, if nobody knew you, because I feel like you're a best kept secret in my community, very few people know about you. And now
I'm getting better though.
It's okay. You're not bad at it. We just don't hear from you that much, so they don't know you.
That's why I say I'm bad at it.
I haven't been holding out on you, Stacey, and here she is. I brought her to you. This is why. This is how amazing she is. And I'm just so freaking proud to call you a colleague. Congratulations on your big leap forward this fall.
I know.
And jumping in
right? Such a different place than when we last.
I know.
It was audacious, that move.
Quite audacious. Quite audacious.
Okay, I'm out on this date. Bam. Tell people. I mean, I told
follow through.
I didn't tell all the people, right? That's another thing. Don't tell everybody. Tell the right people. But yeah.
Tell the right people. I love it. Awesome. Well, we're going to go off the record and hang out with everybody. But Allegra, thank you so freaking much. This was amazing.
You're very, very welcome. Thanks for having me.
For sure.
Now you've been given permission to be more powerful and influence more people. If you've enjoyed this episode, please head over to allegrasinclair.com/iTunes and leave a review. It will help Allegra get the message out to more women that they can punch fear in the throat, show up, and tell their stories. We'll see you next time on the Allegrativity Powercast with Allegra Sinclair.